choosing money over family. How many stories do we have to hear about women not being in the house and you're not being nurtured, and your kids, when they grow up, they say you weren't emotionally present because we've chosen money over family. And people say, well, I had to put food on the table. You know what? Some of y'all just need to be okay with downsizing, because the effect of your emotional absence costs way more. When we put it on the scale of how much they appreciated the 3-4 bedroom house and the impact of you not being emotionally there because you needed to pay for that house, you're like, I think I got to do this. I think I got to do that. Not understanding you refuse to accept. They would rather have you in the house than working outside of the house trying to go get them a house. The nuclear family is like the biggest indicator of financial stability. It's staying together, y'all. It's keeping the kids engaged, y'all. It's keeping your husband and your wife engaged in the marriage, y'all. It has never been the income. So we got it out of order.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to Boundaries and Grace.
Chandler. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist helping people break negative relationship patterns. We're talking about money and the intersection that it has in relationships. This episode is called For the Love of Money. This episode is on Boundaries and Grace on Apple and Spotify. This is a really big fish to fry. This is huge. This is like, there is no way I can do this in one episode. I already know that. Thanks, Dom, for buying a badge. I really appreciate that. There's no way I can do this in one episode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a foundation for us to have this conversation. I'm going to set a foundation, and we have tons more to talk about this issue. But again, I'm going to need you to tell me if this is something that you want to hear more about. Are you ready to do this, y'all? We're going to talk about money. It's in competition with relationships. Money being prioritized in relationships rather than relating. I really believe this is a spiritual issue. So this conversation is going to get a bit abstract. It's going to get into that spiritual realm today. It's almost hard to even set this conversation up. I'm going to be honest with you. It's almost hard to even set this conversation up because it's so big. I want to share my insights with you about this because I really believe that we have a spiritually deranged society. This is affecting everybody in some way. But I believe especially, I'm going to talk specifically about how it's affecting women today. You know, we hear this big conversation about women being obsessed with men's money and their providership. I believe we have a spiritual issue here. I think this is beyond a priority problem. I believe this is a spiritual issue. I'm going so far to say that this is spiritual derangement. Like, this is like people are deranged spiritually, and it's manifesting in the love of money. I don't think it's a coincidence. That there is this obsessive conversation. I think that you should be paying close attention, that this conversation seems inescapable at this point. If we want to talk about this from a spiritual issue, we need to have a spiritual foundation to talk about it from. Need to have some kind of spiritual model that we can stand on to be able to have the conversation. It's not enough to say this is a spiritual issue without being able to define some of the workings of the spiritual issue. So I'm going to first ground us in the spiritual foundation. In order for me to be fully honest with you, in order for me to tell you the truth and in full integrity, I have to be honest with you about where I'm at. Okay? This is going to be a short, I have to share this part in order to get us to the next part, okay? Like, our spiritual foundation today that we're going to be using to help to define the spiritual truth that is related to money. I'm going to be using Bible. And let me tell you a little bit about that. I'm going to be using Bible not because I believe that the Bible is the only truth. This is going to free me to say this, and I hope that it frees somebody else to hear it. I don't believe that Bible is the only truth. For a year now, I've been scared to say that on the internet especially because I'm Black. And Black people and Christianity it's like white and rice. It's like bread and butter. Like, Black people and Christianity just go together. I've been scared to say. I already feel a break in my spirit right now. I feel vindicated already. I'm going to be using Bible today. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to use a little bit of Bible to give us a spiritual foundation. Then I'm going to share with you how this spiritual issue is showing up in modern relationship. Okay. I'm going to use Bible because that's what I'm very familiar with. But I don't believe that Bible is the only way to truth. I don't believe I'm going to say this because I'm going to free myself. I'm going to free somebody else that's hearing this. Okay. Because I don't want to be misleading. I never want to be misleading. So we're going to be hearing Bible because we need a spiritual foundation, but I don't believe that Jesus is the only way to truth. I feel vindicated. This is what I do believe. I believe that Jesus represents the truth of God and walked that path so righteously that he became synonymous with truth and synonymous with God. That's what I have to tell you, that because I don't want to be misleading and be about to use Bible and you think I'm about to try to lead you to salvation through Jesus Christ. I believe that you become saved by the truth. I feel like I'm preaching already. I feel like you get saved by the truth. Okay. And I do believe that Jesus represents the truth so well, the truth, which is God, the universe, that energy, that frequency. I believe that Jesus represents the truth so well that he becomes synonymous. He is synonymous with truth. He's so symbolic of what the truth is, which is God's principle. So he is so easily, Sarita, it's not going to work on me. I've gotten past it. If this is offensive to you, I genuinely wish you the best. I've been afraid of y'all for a year. I've been afraid of those kind of comments for a year. I'm over it. I'm over it. I feel vindicated already. This might be for me. This part is for me. This part for me. I'm over that part. All right. I understand it. I have taught it. I get it. I've studied it deeply, deeper than most people will ever go in their life. I know Christianity very, very well. And so, Jesus is the truth. I get it. And I absolutely respect and allow for that for you. For me, I believe you can get to God in infinite ways because I believe God is infinite. And the fact that we deny that, in my opinion, that's the offense. I'm trying not to preach. I have too much to share with you today. I believe that's more offensive. I believe that there are infinite ways to get to God. A couple major religions, 3, nothing compared to how many ways there are to get to God. That's what I believe. To narrow God down to one religion for one particular group of people, I believe is a prison in and of itself. It's kind of like Christianity was on the right track, but went a little bit too far, as religion typically does, especially the major ones. Isn't that interesting? That's I'm thinking about having a whole separate podcast on just these kinds of conversations alone, because it's so big, it's so deep that what I'm saying right now, tip of the iceberg. I'm thinking about having a whole nother podcast where I could just talk about this stuff. It's very, and I've always been very into spirituality. Anyway, I don't even want to do the whole story because I would take up the whole time, but it's almost like Christianity was on the right track, but then went too far. I think maybe because people like control and power and they want to be the chosen ones. And then the people who are in power want you thinking you're the chosen one, so you're under their thumb. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? That in you thinking that you're free, that you're in a system. It's the ultimate kind of trick. Anyway, different podcast. It's almost like Christianity was on the right track. They went too far because people like control and power. You want to be the chosen one and other people want you under their thumb, rather than seeing, this is what I believe, rather than seeing we are all chosen because we were all created. We just have to choose to get back in touch with the creative source, however we desire. That's what I believe. I believe you are actually already free. Wait, I believe you're actually already free, but it's the system that chains you down. That's what I believe. And so I have to, in order for us to have a spiritual conversation, though, I have to ground us in a model of spirituality so that we can have a productive conversation. The model I'm going to use is Christianity because I'm very, very familiar, well-versed, educated on Christianity. I'm going to use Bible because I believe that Bible is a model of truth, but not the one and only truth. So I have to set that up for you. The model is a model that we're going to be looking at because I only know the simplest things about other texts. We want to have a spiritual conversation. We need a spiritual foundation. We need a model to be able to talk about it from. We're going to use Bible today. And also because, so I'm very familiar with it. And also this is so that regardless of whether you identify with Christianity or not, anybody can pull this up and you can read along and explore it yourself. So we're talking about for the love of money, where money isn't the only negative. Money isn't always negative, but I am going to talk about how I do believe that some of the major, if not one, this got to be top three. One of the most major issues in relationships and family is that there has been a priority to focus on money rather than to focus on relating, rather than to focus on family, rather than to focus on, actually, most importantly, God. So I believe we've effectively set this up, right? Are we ready to do, this is what we're going to do next. I'm going to give Bible, then we're going to take the truths from that text, and then we're going to talk about how it is affecting modern relationship. Is that okay? Is that okay? This is kind of a serious conversation. I have a theory on spiritual derangement that we're going to talk about today and how it's manifesting through prioritizing money over everything. Let's pull out our Bibles. Let's pull out our Bibles, church. I'm not here to lead you to salvation through Jesus. I'm not here to lead you to salvation through Jesus. I don't want to be misleading. I am going to use Bible as a model of truth. Ready? 1 Timothy chapter 6. Let's all turn. Let's turn to 1 Timothy chapter 6. You gotta be patient to go through a conversation like this. So if you trying to get to the meat and just come back another time, I'm gonna do this the right way. Okay, I'm not here for dramatics. I'm here to really we're really trying to do something here. So be patient through this conversation, church, please. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 3, the love of money. If you're ready, say whatever you want. Amen. Hallelujah. Yes. Okay. Whatever. Fire emojis. What? So let me first start. Say 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 3 through 10. This is written by Paul to Timothy. Timothy is like his protege. So it's called Timothy. It's not written by Timothy. It's written to Timothy. If anyone teaches otherwise and does not agree to the sound instruction of our Lord Jesus Christ and to godly teaching, they are conceited and understand nothing. They have an unhealthy interest in controversies and quarrels about words that result in envy, strife, malicious talk, evil suspicions, and constant friction between people of corrupt mind who have been robbed of the truth and who think that godliness is a means to financial gain. Verse 6, but godliness with contentment is great gain, for we brought nothing into the world and we can take nothing out of it. But if we have food and clothing, we will be content with that. Those who want to get rich fall into temptation and a trap, into many foolish and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. Some people, eager for money, have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs. Let's stop right here. Verse 11 through 16 then becomes specific instruction to Timothy. verse, and then I'm going to skip over that specific instruction to him and what he is about to endure. I'm going to go now to verse 17. Y'all, you got to be patient for the setup. You got to be patient. That's a principle in and of itself. Wait, that was a word. Hold on. I feel like that was a word in and of itself. Wait. How about that? Verse 17, command those. Sometimes you gotta soak before you try to get the squeeze. It's a word already. You gotta soak before you try to squeeze. You just want to get the juice. You gotta soak first. Verse 17, command those who are rich in this present world not to be arrogant, nor to put their hope in wealth, which is so uncertain, but to put their hope in God, who richly provides us with everything for our enjoyment. Command them to do good. This is Timothy. He's saying, Timothy, do this to them. He's saying, Timothy, with the people you come across, like, do this for them. Command them to do good, to be rich in good deeds, and to be generous and willing to share. In this way, they will lay up treasure for themselves as a firm foundation for the coming age, so that they may take hold of the life that is truly life. There is so much to say about this, about just that alone, y'all. But we need to go to the biblical model to take some spiritual truths from this. It's not the only way to truth, but it's a very good way to truth. First thing here, I want to highlight some of the verses. Okay, I want to highlight some of the verses for you, and then I want to talk about what it's telling us. Verse 3 to 4. Let's go back to verse 3 and 4. If anyone teaches otherwise and does not agree to the sound instruction of our Lord Jesus Christ and to godly teaching, they are conceited and understand nothing. They have an unhealthy interest in controversies and quarrels about words that result in envy, strife, malicious talk, evil suspicions. Stop right there. If it does not align with the principles of God, which is what Jesus taught, the epitome, right? That's what the epitome of that. If it doesn't align with the principles of God, that's what Jesus taught, it's nothing and will lead to destruction. Do you have that? If you have it, say, I got it. If you got it, say amen. I don't care what you say. I want you to affirm that you got it. It doesn't align with godly teaching, then you are conceited. You must think you know better, is what they're saying, is what he's saying. You must think that you know better. But interesting how thinking that you know better doesn't mean that you know better. You must think that you know better. You are conceited. You understand nothing. That's a hard line right there. You're conceited. You understand nothing. Imagine that, thinking that you know the way, and you're actually going in the opposite direction, imagine being so confidently going in the wrong. Imagine being so confidently wrong. So that's our first thing, right? If it doesn't align with the principles of God, it's nothing and will lead to destruction. But now we're talking about that. That's in general. And now today we're going to talk about specifically in the context of money. Specifically in the context of money, if the way that you relate to money isn't in alignment with the principles of God, it's essentially nothing. These are illuminating spiritual truths that no matter what religion is pointing to the truth, they're all saying the same thing. Put it like this, the way that Bob Proctor puts it is, the truth is like the center of a city. No matter what direction you're coming from, you end up in the same place. Let's keep going. Number 4, verse 4. It says, these are the people who are not aligned with godly principles. They have an unhealthy interest. That's so interesting in today's time to think about that. They have an unhealthy interest. This is the NIV version. They have an unhealthy interest in controversies and quarrels about words that result in envy, strife, malicious talk, evil suspicions. was like, it's kind of strange that you're so into that kind of talk that leads to that kind of outcome. You have an unhealthy interest in things that cause strife. Specifically in the context of money, we're talking about people who use God to get money for themselves. People who take on the label of godly as a way to try to attract or get things for themselves, not because it's right or true. Did you hear what I just said? I take on the label of, I essentially, what's that word? What's that word? I appropriate. Wait a second. Can we talk about, I think I might have just came onto something. Is there maybe such a thing as Christian appropriation? Is there maybe such a thing as God appropriation, where I take the image of this thing and I try to put it on myself as a way to appear like this thing when I'm not that thing? Let's keep it very simple. I took on the thing. I took on the thing that doesn't belong to me because that's not who I am. I took it on and I put it on me to appear one way when I am not that way. I've appropriated God as a way to attract things, to get things for myself, not because it's right or true. I'm not putting this on because I believe it's right or I believe that it's true. I'm putting this on to get something for myself. If taking on the image of God will help me to get what it is that I want, I won't do the work of becoming like God. Wait a second. Something was just revealed. Something was just revealed right there. If you missed it, you missed it. Rewind it and do it again. We have to keep going. Verse 9, let's read it. We're in 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 9. Those who want to get rich fall into temptation and a trap and into many foolish and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. People who love money are led to ruin and destruction. And let's be very clear. I should have said this at the beginning. I'm in no way trying to, I'm not trying to save your soul with this. I'm not trying to lead. Well, hold on. I'm not trying to save your soul through Jesus Christ alone. If that's how you get there, that's how you get there. I'm not trying to save your soul through Jesus Christ. I think your soul gets saved. I think you become redeemed. I'm using quotation marks. I got to talk about this on another podcast. I don't think you're getting, I cannot. Hold on. Let me slow down. Let me slow down. I'm about to take you somewhere you might not be ready to go. Hold on. I'm about to take us somewhere we were not trying to go there today. Let me stick to this. I am not saying that money is bad. I think it's better to have it than to not have it. I think it's way better to have it than to not have it. I'd rather have it. Okay. Rather have it. I'd rather have it. Yeah. I'm not saying that money is bad, but I'm saying your relationship to it can be bad and destructive. I'm not even saying it. Let's go to Bible. Let's go to Islam. Let's go to anybody that's talking about truth. And nobody that's about some truth is about to say money is bad. It's not money that's bad. My relationship to money can become bad. It's not money. It's the way that I covet it. I'm about to preach today. All right. Anyway, so I want to, let me say that for the record. Okay. I'm definitely not one of those be poor. People put a hard R at the end of it. You talking about poor. I'm not talking about you need to be poor. I'm talking about what we talking about, being rich in spirit. I believe that money is a byproduct of being rich in spirit. Money is a byproduct of being spiritually integrous. I believe that money is a is a byproduct of being godly. I believe that money is a byproduct of doing what God put in you to do. That's a whole different conversation, y'all. So I'm not saying money is bad, but I am saying your relationship to it can lead to ruin. So verse 10, y'all, verse 10. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. Pause right here. A root, not the root of all. Money is a root of all evil, just like there are other roots of evil things. When we say evil, it doesn't always have to be this. It doesn't always have to be this pie in the sky thing. We talk about evil. We're talking about destructive tendencies. We're talking about dysfunction. When we say evil, we're talking about things that break things down. They don't build things up. When we talk about evil, we're talking about things that take you out and don't put you on. When we're talking about evil, that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about a devil in a red jumpsuit and a tail coming out his ass, running around with a pitchfork trying to get you in the middle of the night. We're talking about things that break you down mentally. We're talking about things that break your family down and divide you and split you up. We're talking about things that leave you mentally and emotionally fragmented. Yeah, we're talking about evil in that regard. Are you with me? Does that make sense? So this is a root of evil. There are other roots. There's other things that if they take hold in you, I feel like I'm preaching today. If they take hold in you, it will produce destruction. This is a root. Yeah, I kind of miss doing some Bible study, but if I do Bible study again, it's got to be like we're using this as a model, not the model. I'd have to be very clear about that. But there's so much in the Bible that I think the Bible is really, really an amazing thing. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, I think there's so much you can get from it. It's a root, not the root of all kinds of evil. It also says here, some people eager for money have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs. Wandered from the faith. This is how I think of it. When you stray from godly principles, you no longer believe that the way to everything that you want is through God. You started to believe, that's faith. You no longer believe that the way to get everything you want is through God. You have adopted the belief that everything you want or some things that you want must be done apart from godly principles, apart from God. And I'm going to be I want to really highlight that apart from godly, if you are not in line with godly principles, you are apart from God. Because God is principled and orderly and structured the same every day and forevermore. So there's a way of God's being that is the same all of the time. What is that? These are principles. These are principles. These are laws. This is honestly, is this too deep of a conversation? If you're not living in God with godly principle, you are apart from God. So I'm talking about right now specifically to the people who claim God but don't live in a godly manner. You've appropriated God for some sort of gain, but your integrity is lacking. When we go behind the veil of the image you tried to project, we see dysfunction. We see if you have bad fruit coming out of your life, you must be out of alignment with godly principles. You must be. You must be. You must be. Because God, living with godly principles produces a certain result. I feel like this is just too heavy, too deep, it's too big. Like, so some people, it says, some people eager for money have wandered from the faith. You've come out of line with living like God. You're out of line with the principles and the laws of God. You're out of alignment. And when I say law, I'm talking about the way God works, the things that produce certain results, the things you can count on. You're out of alignment. The things that if you do this, it leads to that. If you're out of alignment with godly principles that lead to positive, healthy, functional outcomes, if you're out of alignment with that, you have wandered from the faith. I don't believe that the way to getting what I want is through living like God. I think I got to do something a little different. Something I don't believe. Faith, something I don't believe about living that way. Some I don't believe about living that way, in that godly way. I don't believe that that's going to get me what it is that I want. I think that in order to get what I want, I've got to step out of line. I think in order to get what it is that I want, I have to step out of line. I have wandered from the faith. Let's keep going. Let's talk about the truth to take away, y'all. I'm going to give you the truth to take away, and then I'm going to give you the modern issues that I see, how this issue is impacting relationship. Truth to take away. Money over godliness will lead to ruin. That's the main truth we're taking away. If you've got it, put it in the comments. Money over godliness will lead to ruin. The more that I'm thinking, I had to think about ways to set these kind of episodes up, these big fish episodes. And, maybe I should have started with the modern issue, the way that it's showing up today. And maybe because it's hard for people to sit through a setup. It's hard for people to sit through information. And maybe to accommodate people's goldfish attention spans, maybe I need to start with the modern issue and then come back and set it up. I have to think about that. Because people like me, if you like me, you want to know how the whole thing's working, right? You want to see the infrastructure. You want to go, you don't want to just drive over the bridge. You want to see how the bridge was built. But maybe I should start with the bridge and then I can come back and set it up. Let me know what you think in the comments after you listen to this full episode. Kush is taking notes. Thank you. You should be taking notes here. So what does this mean? The truth to take away. Money over godliness will lead to ruin. I must value godly living. I'm not talking about adhering to a specific religion. I must value godly living, godly character. I must value that over financial gain. Godliness isn't about food rituals or holidays or where you show up on Sunday. It's about who you are as a person and the fruit it produces. Jesus himself, if you want to do Jesus himself came to let you know. Jesus himself came to let you know that you are saved from the rules. You are saved from the ritual. Jesus, if you want to do Jesus, then go ahead and do it like Jesus. Jesus said, it's not about the rule or the ritual. The point is to be like God and be more like him in who you are. It will naturally come out in what you do and the decisions that you make. I want you to understand, Jesus said, if you would love God the way you're supposed to do it, I don't even have to make you do something. I don't have to force you out of something. You're going to do it yourself. You're going to do it yourself. He said, it's not that there's not a right way to do it. It's that if you loved God, you would just do it. Come on, like somebody preach in the church. He said, you don't have to follow these rules and these rituals. If your heart's different, you're going to do different. Some of y'all missed it. I don't know. You missed that part? People think Jesus came to save you from hell after you die. He came to save you from hell on earth. He said, you're free right now to choose. He said, you're free right now to choose the godly way, the principle, the way to live. You get to choose that way and you'll be free right now. That's heaven on earth. That's a different, I don't know, y'all. I just feel like this is a lot. Jesus said this. So y'all, so that's the truth takeaway, right? Money over godliness will lead to ruin. That's what we were getting. Now let's talk about the modern issue. Because people are not living like this, right? People living like it's money over everything. And how do we see that? Let's talk about the manifestation. Let's talk about the manifestation of getting this particular principle wrong. That's the best way for me to say it. Let's talk about the manifestation of getting this particular principle wrong. This particular money principle, that you're not supposed to love money like you love God. When you do, this is what happens. 3 things. Number 1, I'm talking specifically about women here. Okay. I'm gonna talk specifically about women here. I could do the male thing. I absolutely could, but we can't talk about everything all at once. And I am a woman. I'm gonna talk about women right now. Number 1, women only seeing themselves, valuing themselves for what they can provide, for what they can produce financially. Okay. A lot of women won't say that's what they're doing, but we see it in the fruit. Like, for example, you don't prioritize your own personal character development, but you do focus heavily on getting the promotion, on how much money you're making. It's become the main source of your identity, what you do and how much you make doing it. You don't prioritize your own character development. You prioritize financial gain, value financial gain and what you can produce over who you are. Another one, when women only see themselves for their financial status, for status and achievement, they become consumed with achievement. Again, listen to me. And women, this might be you. I'm going to do the Industrious Woman Workshop. I'm going to do that very soon. And there's a lot of women who need to be in that workshop are like this. And if there was a multiple choice test, you wouldn't say, I only value myself for what I can produce financially, but it's in what you do. It's in the way you behave. It's in the way that you think. It's in the way you prioritize things. You're becoming consumed with achievement, attaching achievement to your self-worth. Number 2, only seeing men. So if that's how I see me, then it's how I see you. Only seeing men for what they can produce financially, devaluing their character, setting herself above him if she's making more than him, because what? That's her barometer. That's her barometer. I measure everything against money. I measure everything against money, how much I should respect you, how much I should love you, what I think about you. I measure it against money. This is what happens when we have the priorities out of order. When someone loves money more than they love godly principle. When someone loves money more than they love living like God, the way that God would have it. So I devalue character with men. I set myself above him, for example, disrespecting him, patronizing, even abusing him because I'm angry when the man doesn't produce. It takes a real woman to admit that. It takes a real woman, to admit that if he's not making enough, I have a tendency to treat him worse. Women, I'm talking directly to you. You need to get for real. You need to be for real. Because some of y'all get abusive when he's lost his job. You started treating him like he was less than. This is abuse. It's called abusive, and we can get into the realm of financial abuse. But some of y'all need to be really for real about that. It's something to be upset about. It's really something to be upset about. I can't even imagine being a man having to endure that. As a matter of fact, you don't have to endure it, but I can't imagine being a man having to even come into contact with that. That because of what I produce, and it's less than you, that I am now what? You give yourself permission to mistreat me? So a lot of women need to get for real about that. How inappropriate, how unacceptable, how despicable that is. And we don't got to say it nice at this point. Men can't raise their voice with you like this because then it's a different problem, right? Men can't get that upset about this. Like I just. So women, if you really want to be a woman, why don't you own up to that? Own up to that. That the way that you want men to take accountability for the way he mistreats you, women, I want you to take accountability for your tendency to the point where it's a consistency. Your consistent, negative, dysfunctional, even damn abusive behavior towards men, speaking down on them, treating them weird, treating them messed up, calling them names, verbally obliterating them. Because you've attached their worth to their money, probably the same way you do with you, or what you saw your parents do. But you know what? when you hurt people like that, you got to stop leaning on all your crutches, talking about, well, it was what I saw. You need to apologize. You need to, what I have to unlearn. You need to apologize. Some of y'all need to apologize to your boyfriend. You need to apologize to your husband. You need to apologize to the dude you went on a date with, and when you found out what he did for a living, your mood totally switched up on the date. Y'all need to apologize. And then you want to back up. Well, you got to be a provider. Like the deflection away from your absolutely wrong behavior is something that people can't respect you for. You cannot respect you for this. All right. I got that off. Okay. Third way, let me get some water. Some of y'all need to apologize. And don't wait. Do it today. Yeah, don't wait. Number 3, third way that this shows up in a modern way. Choosing money over family. How many stories do we have to hear about women not being in the house, and you're not being nurtured, and your kids, when they grow up, they say you weren't emotionally present because we've chosen money over family. And people say, well, I had to put food on the table. You know what? Some of y'all just need to be okay with downsizing. I'm going to say it now. Some of y'all just need to be okay with downsizing, because the effect of your emotional absence costs way more. When we put it on the scale of how much they appreciated the 3-4 bedroom house and the impact of you not being emotionally there because you needed to pay for that house, it's not even, you would be so, because I think a lot of y'all don't even know. Because you really think you're really doing this in a genuine way. You're like, I think I got to do this. I think I got to do that. Not understanding, you refuse to accept. They would rather have you in the house than working outside of the house trying to go get them a house. Some coming out, y'all. So we got choosing money over family. Disconnecting with spouse and child, thinking that the way to family is through finances, rather than seeing a strong family is the foundation for financial stability. I'm going to say that again. Thinking the way to family is through finances, rather than seeing a strong family is the foundation for financial stability. Mental stability, emotional stability, sharing finances is the way to financial stability. The nuclear family is like the biggest indicator of financial stability. It's staying together, y'all. It's keeping the kids engaged, y'all. It's keeping your husband and your wife engaged in the marriage, y'all. It has never been the income. It has never been that. So we got it out of order. You're doing it backwards. It's literally not godly. Anything that's backwards isn't godly. Because godly principles are always orderly. It's one thing after the other. This leads to that leads to that. It's always orderly. When you say something's going backwards, when we see a people group going backwards, you're not getting more married, you're getting less. You're not getting more engaged, you're getting less. And I'm not even talking about engaged men. I'm talking about you're getting less engaged mentally, emotionally in the family. When we see you going backwards, when we see more when we see things going backwards, there's a spiritual issue underneath, because spiritual principle is forward motion. It's expansive. Things get more, not less. But then women will say, but I have more money. Oh, so I see. Because you think you have more money, you think you're doing the right thing. Oh, I see. You're confused. I see you're confused. Your barometer, again, I measure everything against money. I must be doing something right. No, you're doing something consistently, but I don't mean you're doing something right. Because how do we see that you have a lot of money, but you have a lot of disconnections? How do we see you have a lot of money, but your kids don't talk to you? How do we see you have a lot of money, but your husband is leaving you? How do we see you have a lot of money, but your friendships are shallow and you can't figure out why people don't really feel like they care and like you can really get that deep kind of nurturing connection, but you got a lot of money though? Something is off. This isn't just a priority issue. This is a spiritual issue. Last thing, this is going to be very quick. Last thing, I just told you three ways that this is showing up in modern world, like right now today, this money priority issue, this out of line with God issue. Real quick, y'all, this isn't just, let's land this plane. This isn't just a priority issue. This is a spiritual issue. Whatever you submit to is your Lord. Say it to you. Whatever you submit to is your Lord. Everybody's submitted to something. Whatever you submit to is your Lord. What you submit to is Lord over your life, directing your decisions. Whatever you submit to becomes your intuitive sense. Listen to me. Your compass is pointing north. Everybody's compass is always pointing north, but not everybody's north is the same. Some people, whatever you submit to becomes your North Star. I can't even get into that symbolism. I can't even get into that. Wise men, I can't even get into that. Whatever you submit to becomes your North Star. Everybody's compass is pointing north. Not everybody's north is the same. You're always moving towards your North Star. It is whatever you submit to. So if you submit to money, you're always moving to money. Whatever you submit to is your North Star. It directs it directs your decisions. When you're submitted to money, I got to finish up. When you submitted to money, you're in that frequency. I believe God is a frequency, the highest frequency. When you're submitted to money, you're in that frequency. I can't even get into that. Land this plane. This has deranged the spirit. Yeah, this has deranged the spirit. If your North Star is not God, I'm talking about God. I'm talking about the highest frequency. If your North Star is not God, your spirit becomes deranged. What is the definition of derangement? Derangement, to throw something into confusion. We have men confused by women's decisions. We have daughters confused by their mothers and how they ended up there. Wait a second. Derangement, to throw something into confusion. Are y'all here? To throw something into confusion. To throw something into confusion. To act irregularly. This is irregular. This kind of family structure without fathers and mothers out of the home and we can't get together and everybody's divided. This is irregular. This is unnatural. This is unnatural. This is something you should be upset about. You should be concerned, shocked, and dismayed. This is not regular. Just because that's all you see doesn't mean it's okay. This is irregular. I don't care who tries to make it seem like, well, it's 2024 and 2025 and it's what we can do now. I don't care who says it. This is irregular. This is unnatural. Derangement throws something into confusion. People are confused. Kids don't know if they're a boy or a girl. People don't know it. Come on, I can't even get into it. If this isn't confusion, what is it? I'm scared. If that's not it, if this isn't confusion, I don't know. What is it then? If this isn't a state of chaos and confusion, what is it? What is? And we got, this is sick to call this choice. This is just choice. It's confusion. What a trick. What a trick to say now we just all can choose stuff. But it blurs the line between choice and now you confused. This when your North Star is no longer God, you have your spirit is deranged. Your spirit, your natural essential spirit is meant to be vibrating with God. So when you degrade yourself, bring yourself down outside of that vibration of I'm supposed to be going with that vibration with the highest God, with God. and you derange yourself to submit to money, your spirit becomes deranged. I want you to think about sound waves. Sound waves. And you know when something goes like, something got in the radio when it's not quite tuned in, static, right? So that's like your spirit. When you're out of tune with God, your spirit's going, it gets crackly. And then y'all, we're getting to a place where it's like there's no sound at all. We're losing you. We're spiritually losing you. This is too deep. This has deranged the spirit. Your spirit is now submitted to something that didn't create you, the true Lord. If you want to call it Jesus, call him Jesus. If you want to call him universe, call it universe. If you want to say it's her and not him, I don't know but the thing that didn't create you, Lord, the highest, the superior. I think, honestly, I know I said that her thing. I think if you really so want to die on a hill on the him or her, I think you actually are I think you're in some kind of confusion yourself, because I don't think this is a gender thing. I think we're getting into a power play with all that. It's a him, it's a her. Like, y'all are not even talking about what we need to be talking about. If that's your conversation, you still need some time to incubate and mentally expand, because we're not even talking about that. Not with God, but with kids, yeah, we need to be talking about it. That's a different conversation. Derangement, throwing something into confusion, causing people to act irregular, this is another definition of derangement, to cause someone to become insane. The things that I see going on with women and men, the things that I see women doing, I'm going to talk specifically to women right now, the things that I see women doing, this looks insane. I'm like, how could you? If you knew who you were, how could you possibly do this? How could you possibly, if you knew what a woman was, how could you possibly be engaged in this kind of behavior? If you knew who you were, how could you possibly be defending this? It looks to me to be insane. This is insane. Derangement will do that. I believe we're seeing spiritual derangement in people around the country. I believe the country is in a state of chaos and confusion. We could talk about this on many levels, but specifically I was talking, I think Black people got it the worst. It's the most out of order. Specifically, Black women are the most out of order of all the out of orders. So we got a whole group, a whole country, a whole world in chaos and confusion and disorderly. But then we got Black women the most disordered. So yeah, I'm upset. Yeah, I'm upset looking at it. Your spirit is disordered. The North Star ain't what it's supposed to be. Spirit's all in static, and we're losing you. And it's even scarier for you to defend the disorderliness. It's even scarier for you to defend chaos. It's scarier for you to not see it. It's scary. So anyway, y'all, that's the whole episode. That's all I got for you today. If you think you want to talk about this more, I want you to drop it in the comments. My name's Taylor Chandler. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I help individuals and couples break negative relationship patterns. I believe this is an issue that we need to talk about. I want to know if you want to talk more about it. I love to see your DMs. I love your comments. Let me know how this is landing for you. I think we need to talk a lot about, I think there's a lot of things about this that we can talk about. But today I'm going to wrap it there. I'm going to try to keep these episodes a little bit shorter, right? Like an hour or less. If you want to work together one-on-one, y'all, I'm talking, I think Black people are most out of order, but I work with everybody. Okay. I love my Black clients. I love my white clients. I love my Asian clients. I love all my clients. I love my Hispanic clients. Let me give them the whole breath. I love all of my clients. I work with everybody. I'm looking past who you are or what you've done or whatever. And I'm really connected. So I work with everybody. And I love it. I love working with everybody because everybody's dealing with the same issues. It just looks a little bit different. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe to the channel. Leave a review if you're on Apple Podcasts. Send me a note, a DM, an email if this is resonating with you to let me know that you want to see more of this work. If you want to work with me one-on-one, there is a link in my description, also in my bio, Instagram at I am Taylor Chandler. I'll reach out to you via email. I'll see you next time.